The world is full of strange and unexplainable events. We try to cover as many of these phenomena as possible. Today we find stories from Reddit, from everyday people like you, listener. Join us today for Reddit Stories, Volume 2. Everyone, welcome back to
Unknown,
Unsolved,
Unseen,
Triple U.
Woohoo! Welcome back, everybody, to episode 94.
Yeah, so sorry about the recording last week.
Well, all you guys could hear if you really want to listen, that was
It sounded like, I was gonna say it sounded like static from a TV.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but thank you to our friends over at Grimly Podcast for giving us the wonderful new mics we are testing out today.
Yeah.
So if our audio sounds better, thanks to them. If it sounds worse, go get your pitchforks and riot at their podcast. Just kidding.
Yeah, don't do that.
We've done multiple tests and these are significantly better.
That does sound like they're better. Hopefully it stays that way as we discuss today. So we did already record this once.
And we changed the stories now on our second recording because of that.
We wanted our reactions to be authentic to each other's stories, and obviously they would not have been had we re-recorded.
You should have seen the Exorcist episode where we had to re-record the second half. I mean, I've listened to it already, but oh my god, it was so hard to say the same things.
It was bad. So for the stories that we were supposed to record, we could link them below if you're interested in reading those ones.
I closed mine already. I don't know which ones they were. We'll come back to them sometime later whenever we forget them.
Okay, that sounds good to me. So never mind.
But it was originally a Ouija board episode, and so we both have Ouija stories, at least one each for this to make up for that. Also, I do want to introduce ourselves. I'm your mysterious host, Frank.
I am your believer host, Sage.
Oh, what, you Fox Mulder? We've been watching the X-Files lately.
I was going to try to sing the introduction, like the song, but I'm tone deaf.
Dun, 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 dun,
I'm tone deaf.
I don't know if I got it right or not, but there's an episode of The Simpsons with Mulder and Scully in it.
Nice.
Now, we are Unknown, Unsolved, Unseen, if you don't know, and we do all your wonderful unsolved mysteries, ghosts, paranormal, cryptids, everything under the sun, really, that does not have a current explanation. Now, and something that might have explanations too here and there, some hoaxes. But yeah, that's what we do, just in case you're a first-time listener. And just because a lot of people don't stay till the very end, if you're curious, you should totally follow, comment, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're on. It goes a long way. With that being said, Sage, you want to take it away and give us, tell us what this episode is all about.
So today we're going to be reading Reddit stories. So like Frank said, originally our first recording that went poorly was all of Ouija board experiences.
What do you mean? And it was bad.
And I suppose that maybe it was paranormal phenomena that made our recording go bad, or maybe we just had shoddy equipment. Either way.
Yeah, maybe the cheap mics I bought us to start this off really decided to kick the bucket finally.
They did. It does appear that way. The other explainable phenomena that we have is if you hear dog noises in the background, it's because we have 2 dogs in the house. One of which isn't familiar yet with
podcast etiquette.
Yeah, and so she's always walking around and searching for things, and I have no idea what she's searching for, so you might hear a little bit of clicky clacks.
Yeah, she's taking
or tippy taps.
Lap around the table right now that we're recording at.
So we decided to change things up and we're each doing one Ouija board experience, and then we just have some, unexplained phenomena, paranormal, ghost story type things elsewhere.
Well, Sage, because this is your episode, do you want to start us off?
I will. All right, so my first story is from r/ghost stories. This is by little_Pete's_. Great name.
Little Pete.
They are in the top 1% of posters in ghost stories, I guess.
Okay, well, that's interesting. If you're is this a recent story?
1 month ago.
Okay, that makes sense because your top 1% poster thing is based on last month.
So it says, the title of this is Don't Fuck with Ouija Boards, Y'all. Fair title. So let's begin. This all really kicks off at a childhood friend's house. Let's call her Bella. In order to set the mood, I need to fill y'all in on the history of this house. In the late 60s, a husband walks in one night to find his wife in bed with another man. He shot both of them and then himself in what would later on become Bella's older sister's bedroom. Fast forward to when Bella's parents bought the house and found a newspaper article about the double murder-suicide while renovating the home. Well, fast forward again a decade, and Bella's family made more renovations to the house. 3 giant black stains had penetrated the carpet and stained the wood floors, presumably from dried blood. They decided to keep the original wood, slapped a finish on it, and called it a day. They keep an area rug over the stains. There are a few other creepy incidents, belongings going missing, then suddenly reappearing, kitchen cabinets and drawers all opening when no one's around to open them, doors slamming and seeing doppelgangers, etc.
The doppelganger.
Anyway, getting sidetracked was setting the scene. So we were 13 years old, and Bella and I were sitting in the middle of her bedroom floor with the lights turned off, candle lit, and a Ouija board in between us. Being young and creepy.
That's how we should spend our evenings.
Children are creepy. I'm just kidding.
Children are fucking weird.
Children can be very weird. I had just lost my father a few years prior to cancer, and was still grieving. I was angry at him that he left our family and trying to fill the father-sized gaping hole in my heart at the time. Not the best state of mind to be in when you're playing knock knock, who's there? With the spirits. We were ready to open up the portal of communication to God knows what in a fucking haunted house. In italics, this was never destined to turn out well. We place our hands on the planchette and say, hello, spirits. We'd like to talk to you. Again, in parentheses, this is a little note that says, I just want to know, before my dad passed away, I've never been into anything supernatural or spooky. I still believed in God, went to church, and prayed for everyone I ever met in my entire life, including their animals. I was a sensitive kid, in a few ways. I never watched anything too scary for fear of bad thoughts and nightmares. Then we got to asking our list of preteen girly questions for a bit.
Oh my god, who does Brad like? Who's Stacy taking to prom?
Those are definitely preteen. Eventually.
Hey, those are teens. Preteens don't go to prom. Teens go to
prom. When I was a preteen, it was, do you think Louis Tomlinson from One Direction would ever love me and marry me? He did not.
The 8-ball would probably say, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately for him.
Who needs a Ouija board when you got the magic 8-ball?
I do love a magic 8-ball. So it says, eventually they turned a little more serious. Us. Is someone here with us? The board. Yes. Us. Are you a good spirit? Board. Maybe. Me. Are you my dad? And then in parentheses, I was desperate to make contact with my dad. I'm not sure actually how they said it, but I do think the added inflection that I put was kind of funny. Bored? No. Me. Do you know my dad? Bored? Yes. Me. Is he okay? Is he in heaven? Bored? Yes. I was starting to feel very uneasy, and it was like all of my senses heightened at once. I got that, oh fuck no, feeling in the pit of my stomach, like someone or something is watching you. Then I felt a heavy, dark, like pitch black with no light, presence next to us. The goddamn bed squeaked like someone had sat down on it. I hesitantly looked over and saw an outline of where a human should be on the edge of the bed. I stared at it for what felt like a decade, trying to make sense of what I'm witnessing. When I snapped back into the moment and uttered a, "Oh, hell no," hurtled over Bella, crossed the room, slapped the lights on. I refused to play again and demanded we do something, fucking anything else. Pure fear and dread lingered deep in my gut, and the feeling of potentially being harmed was strong. In all caps, bold. Y'all, we never closed the board out.
That's a major oof in the Ouija board world, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like the top 3 rules. Say goodbye, close it out. Adult me understands the huge mistake, but at the time I was young, scared, and had no clue the repercussions of not closing the session out. Looking back, I honestly believe this was the moment something attached itself to me and remains on in the periphery of my life. Later that evening, Bella and I settled down for the night into her bed with her trusty small poodle, Tiny, snuggled with us.
Oh yeah, small poodle. Big poodle like Atlas.
True. We were drifting off when Tiny started growling and barking at the foot of the bed at absolutely nothing. So we thought. We calmed her down and soon Bella was out. I was unfortunately wide awake. I felt a presence at the foot of the bed. My gut sank and my heart started racing. I slowly pulled the blankets up over my head and willed myself to sleep and ignore the presence/feeling. It started creeping up my side of the bed until it felt like it was standing over me.
Was it Pennywise? Because you keep saying it.
Maybe. It lingered there next to my head, just standing there. I eventually wore myself out with terror and fell asleep. That did not last long. My eyes snapped open as I heard the sound of a gun trigger pulled back and then off in my ear. Scared shitless, I shook Bella awake and asked her if she too had heard the gun go off. She mumbled, "No," and rolled back over. I cried myself to sleep, feeling trapped and full of dread, with nowhere to go.
No.
Bella was used to spooky things happening in her house and didn't bat an eye when shit got weird. I, however, was not used to this level of activity and would spend hours after leaving her house wondering if what happened had actually happened. Second story happens a few months later when I'm at a sleepover at another childhood friend's house. Let's call them Kit and Kat. Kit was the friend known to be very sensitive to spirits and would see them on an almost daily basis. Well, we were winding down for the night and I volunteered to sleep on the air mattress since the bed would only fit 2. I'm settled in and the lights go out when I start to hear a low, guttural cackling in my ear. I had a weird sensation that someone was laying next to me with their face right next to mine. I tried to ignore the feeling of dread and pleaded with myself to fall asleep. The cackling kept up, so I begged Kit and Kat to let me up onto the bed with a distressed explanation that I had heard something on the floor. Once I was squished in the middle of the 2 girls, I started to calm down enough to attempt to sleep again. I'm laying on my side, facing the wall that was illuminated by a blue light emitted by the alarm clock on the nightstand behind me. Then I see the shadow of a large hand wave at us in the light of the clock. All 5 fingers were perfectly visible, slowly waving back and forth. My heart dropped instantly with a thought that maybe I'm going crazy running through my head. Checking to make sure neither of them were the ones doing it, I quietly nudged the 2 of them and pointed to the wall where they too saw the hand. I was coated in fear and sweat when Kit admits that she saw someone sitting in the corner of the room but didn't want to freak us out. Well, that was a shit plan because we were all kind of freaking out at that point. I'm praying for the presence to leave us alone, but some part of me hoped it was my dad. The thought of, if it was really him, you wouldn't be scared, kept tugging at my common sense. Kit started to see and hear things. She whispered my nickname that my dad gave me. No one else knew it. And interlaced our fingers. Kit has very dainty hands and almost no upper body strength. Damn girl, call her out. She started to squeeze my fingers, causing my heart to race and a knot formed in my stomach. Her hands felt like my father's large, rough, and strong hands. I started to cry so hard that my heart started to hurt. I deeply grieved my dad, but was also terrified shitless. The emotions and general pressure in the room was too much. So we decided to turn on the lights and stay up for as long as we could to talk about all the really weird and scary shit that had just happened. Kit eventually got up and went to the bathroom and came back to leave Kat and I alone to chat. We were caught off guard when a set of beads hanging on the window frame fell to the ground, making us scream. We were jumpy, to say the least. Almost at the same moment, Kit rushed in with something even more spooky to report. When she saw herself in the mirror, her face didn't look like her own. It was as if all her facial features were sunken in and she looked sick, like she had cancer. Then she watched as a large orange orb flew out from her head, and her face faded back to her own. After hearing that, Kit and Kat went back to sleep while I watched the sun come up. I told my mom the next day what had happened, and she immediately asked if I'd used a Ouija board. I confessed to using it at Bella's house a while back. She scolded me and begged me to never ever use it again and said they're dangerous and can leave doors to the spirit world open and make it easy for something unsavory to follow me. She explained that the spirit we had experienced during the sleepover with Kit and Kat was a bad spirit mimicking my father, and that is why I felt off and scared. After that, I had some pretty horrible night terrors, more stories for another time, and became terrified of my bedroom. It got so bad that I couldn't look into my mirror for fear someone would be behind me or be in my room alone at all, for that matter. On the daily, I was riddled with anxiety for the time of night when I'd have to sleep again. I slept with my mom until I was about 16. However, she never minded it. After a while, Mom helped me get back to a normal existence. She cleansed my room with anointed oil, gave it a total makeover. It worked and I was able to sleep in my bedroom again. However, we hung up curtains to block off my built-in vanity to cover the mirror unless I needed it. I had very few night terrors after that, and my anxiety lessened to a normal teenage amount. Years have now passed, and I'm now 30. Throughout the years, I've had many more creepy encounters and would love to tell them another time. If y'all would like to hear more, don't fuck with Ouija boards.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know how I feel about stories like that. I don't know how I feel about the validity behind it, but, good story.
I did enter this stating I was a believer, so I do plan to believe in them. So I can understand why you may not, though. So, all right, what do you got for us?
Well, what is better than Ouija boards?
Alien story.
Better than that.
Cryptids?
Better than that.
Ghosts.
Better than that.
I have no other thing.
We're going to r/the truth. The truth is here. Posted 6 months ago by agile_feeling_5474. Weird encounter with a quote unquote time traveler.
Whoa. Okay. Take it. First of all, feeling or feline?
Feeling.
Agile feeling.
It might be a Reddit generated name.
All right. Think enough. Take it away.
I had a very strange encounter in the Stockholm subway today, and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm not saying this was paranormal. I'm not saying it wasn't. I generally don't know how to make of it, so I'd love to hear about how others interpret it. I was sitting in the subway with a friend when an older man sat down next to us. He looked completely normal, well dressed, calm, articulate, very academic vibe. Nothing about him felt chaotic, drunk, or unstable. He then asked us if we were Dutch. We said we were Finnish. He apologized politely and made a small comment about Finland. Then he asked, "Can I ask you a question? Do you think time moves faster inside this train than outside?" We said we didn't know. He explained relativity and said Einstein proved that time does move differently depending on speed. He then asked another question. True or false? Time moves faster True or false? Time moves faster where your head is than where your feet are. My friend guessed true. He said yes, because of gravity. He clearly knew physics and explained it in a very matter-of-fact professor-like way. He mentioned KTH, which is Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, and implied that he had studied or worked there. Then he said, "Last question. If I told you I'm a time traveler, would you believe me?" We laughed and said no. He calmly said, "I actually am. I've traveled through time." He didn't say it jokingly, not dramatically, just calmly, like stating a fact. He added, "A time traveler always recognizes another time traveler immediately." My friend asked how you recognized one. He said, "We just met, so I won't tell you yet, but When you are an old man, I will visit you and tell you. He said this specifically to my friend. We got off the same stop. He wasn't creepy. He didn't follow us. Didn't try to prolong the interaction. Just wished us a good day and walked off slowly. What's weird is not what he said, it's the energy of the interaction. He didn't feel unstable or joking. He felt extremely calm, intelligent, and intentional, like a professor having a casual conversation. I know the rational explanation is simply eccentric old academic man. But the encounter has oddly eerie, meaningful feeling that I can't shake. Has anyone experienced something similar? How would you interpret it?
You want to know what the scariest part is?
What?
The theory of relativity.
How so?
It was one of, if not the worst subjects that I had when I took physics. For some reason, my brain cannot wrap itself around relativity, like relative motion in particular. I sucked ass at those units in the 3 different college level physics courses I took. And so it's scary to me because it's something that I physically cannot figure out how to understand. And then to know that this dude's like, yeah, by the way, your head moves at a different rate than your feet because of gravity. Now I say, which one moves faster? My head, I'm assuming? Is that why I get so dizzy?
Probably.
I know my eyes move at a different speed than my whole head does. That would be why I have vertigo bad.
Also looking at the comments to this.
Yeah.
The top comment is what I would have thought too. Technically, we are all time travelers, traveling through time 1 second at a time.
Dumb.
That's it. That's actually what I thought at first.
Less dumb. Because you thought it.
Well, thank you. One person said, if anything, you gotta stay friends with your friend because it sounds like he's the time traveler.
Yes, and maybe in 80 years we'll have an update to this Reddit story.
Somebody said, remind me in 47 years.
And then maybe we'll know. So, very cool. Any other comments or anything that?
I mean, there's plenty that saying that maybe he's just fucking with you. Maybe I should just be an eccentric old guy and do that.
That'd be kind of fun.
What did he mean? One time traveler recognized another, and then that he'll visit you when you're old. That seems to suggest the friend is going to be a time traveler. I totally believe in time travel, so it doesn't much surprise me. I just don't think they usually reveal themselves, or they're not supposed to. Also, next time ask him what the point of time travel is. If you can't change anything, just to see what people look like? ?
Okay.
Time travel is a tricky thing, paradoxically. Well, that's my first story. Are you ready for your second story to give to us?
I am ready. Share my second one with you. This one's not as long now. This is from r/paranormal from mirror-pool.
Mirror on the wall.
-00. I woke up to this thing at the end of the bed last night, and I'm going to turn my screen.
It's a creepy smile of like a white head, but the rest of the body's black with high shoulders.
So for context,
Me and the boys when we're going to be mischievous tonight.
So for context, I, 24 female, and my boyfriend, 22 male, have been going out for around 3 months now. By the way, this was from a year ago. He has talked about how he used to have night terrors, and lately they've been especially bad. Once I started staying over at his house, I got to witness it firsthand. We'd be dead asleep, and he would suddenly sit up, gasp, and stare off into the distance for a while before laying back down and going back to sleep. I asked him what he was dreaming about once, and he said he didn't know. I started getting poor sleep at his apartment too. I did from the start, but I just chalked it up to it being a new, strange environment. But it persisted. One morning, he left for work, and I went back to sleep after saying goodbye. I woke up on my stomach, unable to move. I realized it was sleep paralysis. I've had it a couple of times before, years ago, so I knew what I was dealing with and tried not to panic. That's when I felt something crawl onto the bed and place a hand on my back, holding me down. I've had a sleep paralysis demon experience in the past, so I tried to remain calm. I started repeating, "not real," over and over in my head since I couldn't speak. The thing responded, "Oh, you think I'm not real? If I wasn't real, would you be able to feel my hand on your back?" It said this, while digging its fingers in. "Would you be able to feel my breath on your neck?" It felt so real. I could feel it lean down and breathe cold air on my neck as it spoke. I repeated, "Get out. You're not welcome." And slowly, I began to move again. And the thing was gone. I didn't think too much of it since sleep paralysis is, somewhat normal. And a lot of people experience the so-called demons, myself included. That was me. But last night was different. I was asleep and woke up with the overwhelming feeling of being watched. I opened my eyes and lifted my head to look around the room. There was a tall shadow moving across the room right at the edge of the bed. I looked over at my boyfriend's spot to confirm it was just him getting up to use the bathroom or something, and was horrified to find him sleeping peacefully next to me.
I too hate it when my boyfriend sleeps next to me peacefully.
Oh, your boyfriend, yeah?
Yeah.
I looked back at the shadow. It had reached the spot directly in front of me at the end of the bed. It turned toward me and was staring, unblinking, with a huge grin. It had this strange aura around it. It's hard to describe.
Horrifying?
Maybe. It's hard to describe, but everything looked a little warped around it. I felt an intense amount of malice coming from it. I was terrified. I sat up, and after a moment longer, it dissipated into the air like it had never been there. I don't know what this thing is or why it's bothering us. I've never experienced anything like this before, other than when I was a little kid and thought I saw shadows move or other, quote, kid stuff like that. But this thing had a face. A face, they wrote in all caps.
I have a face.
I'd love to hear any info on what this thing could be and how to get rid of it. It's possibly the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
Pretty strong, I gotta say.
It's horrifying.
I like to be Mr. Sleep paralysis skeptic. Okay, I am a prime paralysis skeptic. Okay, not lie when I say that. I think a lot of it is just your mind playing tricks on you.
Okay.
I know you do not like that answer.
It's not necessarily that I don't like your answer, because you're entitled to the opinion that you have, whether or not it's wrong. I'm just kidding. I myself, though, have experienced many bouts of sleep paralysis. One of the comments I want to read a little bit here, because this, I would say, is kind of how I feel about it. So someone says, this is from Hebath.
Hebath?
Yeah, H-E-E.
Is that
bath.
whenever He-Man takes a bath?
Maybe. They say, sleep paralysis is a very common trope our brain makes up of a vague malevolence to break us out of a hypoxic event using fear and the fight or fight response. Ask your GP, I'm assuming that means general practitioner, for reference to a neurologist for a sleep study. Someone responds, this is odious me. I want to humbly disagree with the sleep paralysis theory. I too have been pushed flat and sat on while I was sleeping. Typically, sleep paralysis behavior, I get it. Then why did it only happen at 2 different houses I've lived in and nowhere else? Sleep paralysis is so often used to explain all sleep-related paranormal attacks, and it cannot be the blanket response to anyone being attacked at night by malevolent spirits. Opie had said they sat up. When you have sleep paralysis, you cannot sit up. So this totally disproves the sleep paralysis theory. I like the carbon monoxide concept. I think that came from a different comment. It is a scientifically sound theory. Also test this idea. You're being attacked nightly by something that wants to harm you. Now is the time that you start researching what you can do to get the evil out of your house. I would like to say, I agree with this comment in the sense that every sleep paralysis that I experienced happened in one home that I lived in for about 6 years. As a older teenager into my adult years. As soon as I moved out of that house and in with you, I have yet to have it again.
It's because you feel safer with me, for some weird reason.
Well, you're my husband. I would hope I feel safe with you. But yeah, I mean, I do think that that has something to do with it, but is that not what things like that would feed off of? If there is some kind of malevolent paranormal entity?
I don't know what a paranormal entity would feed off of because that is not my area of expertise. I am not a Vatican ordained demonologist.
I understand that, but could you make an educated guess?
I don't know enough to honestly make an educated guess on what may or may not suffice for a demon.
I've been having night terrors virtually my entire life. I suffer horrifically from extremely bad nightmares and night terrors. This was what I experienced was never that. Those have happened in every house I've lived in. They still happen. I still get them. But I have only ever had sleep paralysis in one home. There's gotta be some kind of paranormal explanation for that.
I don't know. I've had sleep paralysis twice in my life.
Yeah, you're lucky. I used to have it like 2 or 3 times a week.
I had it once at my aunt's place in Iowa and once at college during finals week.
That was probably stress related.
Yeah. And I mean, I was stressed out on both things, like maybe that's why I just think it might be a stress. And
But
you
my
had a
life,
stressful fucking life your entire time.
yeah, but like I said, I've had a stressful life the entire time, not just in the 6 years I lived at that house.
I don't know.
And even then, I would say a lot of my life is more stressful now because I'm chronically ill from
but maybe
all the stress I experienced in my life.
Because you're with me.
That is, I do believe that. I mean, me and my therapist talk about that all the time.
Any other things you want to say on this story?
No, that's all I have for that one.
All right, well, let's take a quick break and take a message from our friends over at Grimly who provide these wonderful mics for us.
If you're anything like me, you're always hunting for stories that make your skin crawl in the best way. That's why I have to tell you about Grimly. Every week, they dig into the unholy, the unsolved, and the deeply unsettling. From chilling true crime to eerie tales that blur the line between fact and folklore. The production is hauntingly good, the storytelling absolutely captivating. It's the kind of podcast that stays with you long after you finish listening. So if you're ready to explore the darker side of history and humanity, subscribe to Grimly wherever you get your podcasts. Just don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, thank you guys for listening to that message from our friends over at Grimly. Go check them out wherever you find podcasts. Now back on to the spooky stories that we have. Sage, are you ready for my next one?
I am.
All right. We go to r/unexplained from 26 days ago from user Ramuxis, Ramuxis.
Sure.
Strange experience in small town in Arkansas.
Arkansas, America. Like, if this Kansas, why is this not Arkansas?
Exactly.
I am confusion.
It was the early 2000s, and I was about 7 years old when this happened. My father, brother, and I were traveling to go see my grandparents that lived about 5 hours away from us. We woke up early, and at about the halfway point, we passed through a small historic town and stopped at a random place to get breakfast. My father just happened to choose this place because it was a very old 2-story home with wooden paneling that had been repurposed into a restaurant. We walk in at the same time as 3 other men that were wearing high-vis shirts and vests. I've always assumed they were some kind of construction workers that were passing through the area and just wanted some breakfast like us. When we walked in, the first thing I noticed was a staircase to the left and a long hallway in front of us. It creeped me out because both the stairway going up and the end of the hallway had no lighting, so I could not see the end of either one. I desperately needed to use the restroom, and my father suggested that it was probably at the end of the hallway, but I decided that I wasn't about to venture that far and would just have to wait. To the right of the front door was a small area with about 12 tables. All the booths against the wall were already taken. Were already taken by the other people. So my family and the workers that walked in with us sat at the tables in the middle of the room. This is when things got weird. We started to look at the menus that were already at the table when we sat down. I glanced at the room and noticed the front counter in the kitchen seemed completely empty. There was a glass display that is common in bakeries or diners to display what desserts or treats that have for sale. Treats that have for sale. It should say that they have for sale, but it sat completely empty. The kitchen was in full view from the dining area, but did not seem to be in use. No smell of food or signs of any workers at all. That's when I noticed that every single person that was in there before us just sat there silently staring at us. They all had glass cups with what looked like cola, but not one person touched them. Not one other person looking at the menu or even speaking, just staring. I remember seeing a boy that was about the same age as me, and even he was staring, and he was just silent and staring.
Ew.
At this point, I realized that my father and the construction workers had caught on to this as well. I whispered to my dad, asking him if we could just leave. I remember my father looking at the construction workers, and it was like they had a whole conversation with just looks. My dad gave him a quick nod, and the men nodded back, and we all stood up and walked out at the same time. We ended up driving to the next town and thankfully had a normal experience at the next restaurant we stopped in. This day, I always think back about how unsettling this experience was and wonder what the heck was going on. My family and I still bring this up from time to time, and we all agree it is one of the creepiest experiences of our lives. Edit to add more info. This would have been about 2003, 2004. We traveled from Bella Vista, stopped in Berryville, and our final stop was Mountain Home. My dad always took random different ways because he enjoyed sightseeing and trying new little hole-in-the-wall restaurants. He would often drive one town over just because we had never seen it before, and he was never in a rush to get to our final destination. That's terrifying.
You want to know what the most unsettling part of that is?
What?
People had glasses on their table. What looked like cola. And they weren't drinking them.
Yep. I know, terrifying. I'll make sure I keep that.
That was my cola. My Coke, if you will. Which is being drank actively.
But
I was
still,
shaking the ice for anyone who was
just you're in there with other random people who are seeing the same things, and you guys just like nod in agreement, like, yeah,
let's get up.
This is not normal.
It is. There is something extremely creepy about having like a room full of people staring at you. It's a whole other level when there is also a child involved in staring at you like that. Kids don't do that. Kids, they don't sit still like that. I mean, I'm sure there's some, whatever. That's the exception to the rule, not the...
Can I tell you some more stuff on here?
Yeah.
So, Voice in the Woods, what a name, asked, have you talked to your dad about this experience recently? I'd love to know if he remembers details you don't since you were so young. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2020. It was something I talked about with him multiple times, and we even tried to find the exact place on Google Maps before with no luck. Whoa. Since it was just a random pit stop in some small town. I can tell you that next place we had stopped was Berryville. My brother is 4 years older than me and always carried a little pocket knife. He said as we walked out, he opened it in his pocket and held onto it tight. That he remembers my dad and the men making sure us kids walked in front and got out first. My dad told me that he had no clue what was up. Speculated that maybe it was a grieving family who had just lost somebody and that the place had just opened as we walked in, and that's why we didn't see a waitress or anyone yet. He was never the type to get spooked or worry about worry about what other people were doing. On road trips, he was big on trying new places, so if he picked a place to try, that's where we ate. We never left, even if one of us said we didn't like the menus. Somebody said, I'm from the town next to Berryville, but never heard of any place like this. Really strange. And then the OP responds, I texted my brother to see if he remembers about how long we drove to get to Berryville. I was always watching a movie or something, so it might have been a longer drive than I remembered to get to the next stop. We were We were making our way to Mountain Home, but he said we were. Yeah. So
Trying to not finding it on Google Maps is like other dimension.
some people are putting this in AI to see what they could get, but I'm just going. I don't care what your stupid AI says.
Agreed. Do you have any final thoughts on yours?
I'm just looking at some other comments. Somebody said you might have stumbled upon some sort of secret meeting. Sometimes restaurants are booked for private assemblies, and maybe, just maybe, you missed the sign at the door, and the people were just surprised that you entered. For some of these assemblies, they also wouldn't even need service, so that would explain the absence of servers, cooks, etc. I was originally leaning towards that this being some kind of mob thing, but the fact that there were children present makes me think that it might have been a cult. Either way, really fascinating story and reads almost like a horror short story. But here's a question: since you left out an important detail by accident? Where were you traveling from? You said the next town you stopped was called Berryville, if I recall correctly. And if you tell us the direction that you were coming from, we could narrow that down.
That's true.
Sorry, didn't mean to leave this out. We were traveling from Bella Vista. I know we stopped in Berryville, then headed to Mountain Home. My dad often took us. Basically, this stuff that he mentioned from the editor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. That would creepy. I guess my only thing against that comment about it being like a group that was getting together is like the kids, like the way that the kid was acting. I just feel like even if it was like a cult meeting, like I don't think kids are necessarily so controlled that like they would just stop everything they're doing and just stare at this person. Like usually I would think that a kid wouldn't necessarily know what's going on in terms of like a cult meeting.
Well, that one's creepy. So
That is creepy.
You want to move on to the next story then? Yours?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a shorter one.
Okay, is it shorter than my creepy one I just did?
Yeah. Some of the comments I think are interesting that I'd like to go through. And then if you have maybe one more short
Okay.
one after that. So this is from r/paranormal. This is 4 days ago.
4 days ago. Ooh, we're getting real
Yeah.
recent. I thought my 26 days ago was recent.
Yeah, this is from Ghost Girl 324.
Unlike the Ghost Boy Danny Phantom.
Yeah. It has 1.2 thousand upvotes and 214
For
comments.
4 days.
Mm-hmm.
How many comments?
214.
4 days, 240 comments.
Yeah.
On r/paranormal?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It says, we've been living, this is called Our Mimic Showed Itself. It says, we've been living in our house for almost 5 years. I'm sensitive to the paranormal. I hear and see things easier than my family does. Ever since we've moved into this house, I've had some weird feelings, like I'm being followed and watched. My son, 12, and I have been hearing a mimic. It sounds like us and our cats. Coughs, voices calling out to each other, even sneezes. We hear it mostly at nighttime. My kids are away on vacation with my mom, so it's just my husband and I at home. Tonight, while I was getting a shower, my elderly cat started acting strange. She puffed up and started hissing at the bathroom door, which I had left open because it's just us. I kept talking to her and telling her to calm down. After I finished washing and rinsing my hair, I saw it. Through the shower curtain, I saw a doppelganger of my husband standing in the doorway, silent and emotionless. I said, Jesus, baby, you scared me. Nothing. I was gonna open the curtain, but I was filled with this overwhelming feeling of dread. My heart started racing in my chest. I rinsed my face to calm down, and it was gone after that. I turned the shower off, grabbed a towel, and rushed back to my room soaking wet. There was my husband, dead asleep. He wasn't even wearing the same clothes. I'm completely freaked out. We've been hearing it, but we've never seen it. I'm scared that me speaking towards it is going to end badly. Cardinal rule: do not acknowledge it. I feel like I broke that rule. I had to vent this somewhere. Update. So, since this post, I've reached out to a couple of preachers for the safest way to handle this without bringing harm to my family. I got the usual pray and place Bibles and a crucifix in each room. To answer a few of y'all's comments, I am not schizophrenic. I do struggle slightly with depression, but I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Schizo is the first thing they ask.
Yeah. I've never hallucinated before except on CBD gummies. In parentheses, story for another day, which is funny. I haven't acknowledged it since. I've definitely heard it. Last night, all 3 of my cats slept on my bed, which is definitely unusual for them. One acted as if he was scared to death. Carbon monoxide is out, because I have a detector. I do not feel like we're unsafe yet. I'm definitely not leaving. It's my house, and the damn thing can move out for all I care. No more sightings, though. I hope it was just a one-time thing. Someone comments, this is Bert L. Gazebo.
Like Bert and Ernie?
Maybe.
Or is it Bert or Burnt?
No, Bert.
Bert Gazebo.
Bert L. Gazebo.
Damn, your last name being Gazebo?
Maybe.
With an L in there? So you take
EL.
L's?
EL.
Bert the Gazebo, then.
They say, scary, but it feeds off that. The most important thing is to take back a sense of control over your home. Do a reset of your home by cleaning, opening windows, bringing in light, and changing the atmosphere. If you hear something at night again, or even see it, don't respond from a place of fear. Instead, stand your ground, firmly say out loud something like, you are not welcome here. This is my home now. Leave and never return. That I do agree with. This person, I disagree with. They say this, 99.9, this is a response to that person. I don't get it. It says 99.9% of the people posting paranormal issues on this sub are just scared of every little sound of shadow. If these things are real, they must be drawn to that energy. Saw a video of a girl sleeping on the floor in her closet because of some entity outside her window. It's outside. Just pull the shades down or go outside and run that thing down with a stick. I once thought I saw a shadow standing next to my bed. My first reaction was to kick it through the window. I put my foot through it and ended up standing on one leg next to my bed. Never saw that thing again. My belief is that it was probably a dream, but if it wasn't, I sent a clear message that I was the nightmare, not it. If I see or hear
You were
anything,
the nightmare, not it.
yeah, if I see or hear anything I think is threatening, I'm chasing that thing down and tackling it. Firstly, because I want to know what it is. Secondly, so I can eliminate the threat. Stop living in fear and these things will not bother you. Okay, thanks, Classic B5845. Okay?
You know what I gotta say? I am the night. I am the vengeance. I am the nightmare. I'm Batman.
Yeah. So someone responds, H Gaston01 responds back to them. All due respect, everyone has a different background and or traumatic history. Very true. I do believe that has a lot to do with this. Not everyone is wired to kick in a window when they're scared. Telling someone to just stop being scared or be scared more productively is not helpful.
Just stop being scared. I'm like, stop being depressed. Stop being angry. Come on.
I do like the telling
Come
someone
on, man.
telling someone to just stop being scared or be scared more productively is not helpful.
Be scared more productively. Hey, I know you're scared. Better be fucking productive during being scared.
This is like telling somebody, have you just tried not worrying about it?
Yeah. Have you just tried not being sad about whatever you're sad about?
Have you just tried being sad but more productive?
Oh my God, you're not being productive enough while you're sad. I don't care that a family member just died. Just be more productive about it.
So Classic B5845 is extremely active on this thread. They respond back to that. And this is the last one I read, but it says, with all due respect, what does wallowing in their fear with them do? It's the same thing all over the sub. Oh wow, that's scary. So sorry. Have you tried praying or sage? If someone's bullying you, you don't pray and light a candle to solve your problem.
Oh God.
That bully doesn't care about your history or your trauma. In fact, they'll use that against you if they can. None of this is a science. We can only give our opinions. And to me, it makes sense that if something feeds on your fear, not being fearful is a pretty good solution. OP is free to just ignore me if they wish, as are you.
I like it's not science. This is all opinion. So I won't give my opinion. You better damn well listen to it.
It makes sense to me that if something feeds on your fear, not being fearful is a pretty good solution. What? This isn't a spider where you say they're more afraid of you than you are of it. This could be either somebody in your house or a fucking entity. And you're just don't be afraid.
That serial killer, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of him.
He's more scared of you than you are.
Have you ever just tried not being afraid of the murderer?
Oh my God. Sorry.
Yeah, this person would see like a killer, like an actual killer, say somebody with like a knife ready to fucking Michael Myers in Halloween. They're like, he's more scared of you than you are of him. Face him down.
Yeah. Someone said, the OP had responded and said, like, when I get back, I do plan on like cleansing my house or whatever, like whatever, or before the kids get back. And someone just responds, this is Skunk WRXS. Skunk Works?
Skunk Works?
Maybe. Says, I enjoy going full on top of my lungs screaming assault, sometimes naked. Oh, you picked the wrong one, motherfucker. I'll blow bong rips of sage at you from point blank range. Try me, bitch. Top of lungs scream while sprinting at last known location. Don't you want to fuck around?
What a, this is a thread.
This is the thread. This is so good. We'll link all of these stories down below. I highly encourage everybody to come read this one because there are some fabulous responses on this. It's so good. But someone said, what does being naked do? Someone else responded, ideally scare it. Just be naked while you do it, and hopefully that scares them enough, and they'll go away. Okay. Anyway, sorry. That one. I'm crying laughing. That's actually hilarious.
All right, that one actually was a bit longer than I expected, so I'm actually going to change my story to a shorter one I found.
My apologies.
That's all good.
I really had to read those comments because they were so funny.
I'm not going to have a Ouija story because my Ouija story is a bit longer, so we'll have to do another Reddit stories in like 30, 40 episodes again. But I got another good one. We're back on r/the truth is here. This one is posted by user Kamsalah1, KMELSALAH1. Kamsalah?
Sure.
This is from 8 months ago, and it's titled, The Radio in My Childhood Home Only Played One Song 30 years after this radio station went off the air.
Ew.
My parents bought our house in the 90s. In my bedroom...
The 90s!
In my bedroom, an old built-in radio from the 60s would only pick up one station ever playing Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley on loop day and night. Thought it was quirky. Years later, I learned the local station that played that song exclusively had lost its license and shut down in 1968.
Just a whole station for one song?
Yes, I guess.
That in and of itself is horrifying.
I don't even know how that worked. But that was in 1968. The radio hadn't been plugged in since we moved in.
Whoa.
That's the entire post, but the comments are good. The top comment is from Rad Al. Look up the case of skeptic Michael? Yeah, Michael. I don't know. It seems weird to actually read that. I've been seeing some Michaels lately and some things. I can't remember what for.
How is this one spelled?
Michael.
That is literally
Michael.
how.
But I've heard, I don't even know. I think some stuff I listened to, there's some Michaels.
Yeah, I think that's Mikhail.
Okay.
Or something along those lines.
It's just I've been hearing more Mikhail than Michaels lately, so it makes me question it, which I know I shouldn't. And I know that's such a tangent.
That's fair. I think it's spelled differently though.
Yeah,
because I have seen Mikhail elsewhere, and it's Mikhail.
I keep hearing it lately, so that's why I'm hearing more than Michael, and I'm reading Michael. Michael can be pronounced that way if you really want to jump through some hoops.
I mean, it makes more sense.
Yeah, but
it's
Michael Shermer and the experience he had on his wedding night. Long story short, and I'm going to look this up too, but long story short, his wife's deceased grandfather had a radio or a music box that was stored in the room where they were spending their wedding night. The thing hadn't played in years, so no one thought it worked. The night it came alive and played love songs, and in the morning it stopped and never played again. Somebody said, kind of sweet, kind of terrifying, and somebody responded, like marriage.
What the fuck? Oh, man.
And then somebody said, y'all ever see the episode of Young Sheldon where imaginary Mima and her boyfriend were watching Georgie and Mandy make out? What does this have to do with
what? What?
I don't know what that had to do with it, but they did not. That was from famous Ohio apple horn. But somebody said I owned an old 150-plus-year-old apartment building. The tenant in apartment 2 had passed away about a year prior to this. As I was sitting at the new tenant's kitchen table, I mentioned that I missed Barb, the deceased tenant. Suddenly, a radio on the table came on and began playing music for about 45 seconds while we all looked at each other in shock. We looked under the table. The radio was not even plugged in. Wow. And then someone said, I lived in a house that had a basement phone that would ring, but it wasn't connected to anything.
Oh, that is so much worse than a radio playing that's not plugged in.
Yeah.
That is a horror movie. That is a horror movie in the making. Horrifying. I would burn the whole house down.
So that's all the comments I won't go through on that one. What did you think? Was that a good one to finish it off with?
Yeah, that was good.
I think I chose some good stories. I think you also chose some good stories.
I really, really encourage people to go look at this thread because I'm scrolling through some more of the comments and they're fucking hilarious. Can I read one more?
Is it from Classic B?
No. This is from Reference 404. They say, set out an invoice for rent and inform the jerk it needs to contribute in this economy.
Damn right.
And then someone said, no one stays for free. Ass or cash up front.
I think that's kind of covers everything we have for this week.
Yeah.
So, Sage, let's do some rankings here real quick. Right? What should I... Asher cast out of 10.
Or which one? Just in general?
We're going to do this for each of them. First one, the Ouija board one. That was the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Asher Cash out of 10. How much do you rate that one on believability? And 10 ass or cash, or you can say 10 cash for believable, or 10 ass for unbelievable.
Why is cash more believable than ass?
Buy shit with the cash.
All right, fair.
I can't buy shit with ass, and I get.
You can buy a lot of shit with ass. You just don't know how to use yours. Shots fired.
Okay. Where did that come from?
Shots fired. I'm sorry.
That's gonna be a quote for this. You could buy a lot with ass, but you don't know how to use yours.
No, I think I'm lightheaded from laughing so hard at the last one.
I still can't believe you just told me that on a podcast.
We should put that on a shirt. I guess I would say maybe like a 5 cash. Maybe.
I won't put.
And in the middle, I think there's some parts of it that are like a little, but it does sound.
So actually, I think yours is then 5 cash, 5 ass. I'm going to put 4 cash, 6 ass.
Okay.
Now,
So a little less believability for you than for me. Okay.
Time traveler.
1
cash.
1 cash, 9 ass.
Yeah, I agree. 1 cash, 9 ass.
I would love to believe in time traveling as if this was Doctor Who, but I don't know. That story in and of itself really did sound like someone was just fucking with them.
Yeah. Now then after that one, what was our next story?
I woke up to this thing at the end of the bed last night.
Yeah, thing at the end of the bed. Okay. How much cash and how much ass?
Probably 4 cash, 6 ass. Because I do, as much as I believe in demons and things like that, and I understand sleep paralysis, possible that this was just a figment of imagination.
2 cash, 8 ass. I would have said 9 ass, and I'm like, that would have been bad math.
8 ass is crazy. Because that can be interpreted in 2 different ways.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize it.
So, okay, and then this is a raunchy episode.
Only at the end, so hopefully you stayed till the end.
I hope everybody stayed till the end. Okay, so then your next one, what was the one after my picture?
The town in Arkansas.
The town in Arkansas. I get probably a 4 again.
I'm putting that at a 8 cash to ass.
Damn, okay.
I 8 cash to ass.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like things like that do happen in rural areas that people just don't know.
That is true. I have seen other Reddit stories that are similar to that. So maybe I'll bump mine to 6. 6 cash, 4 ass.
Oh, you'll give me 6 cash for ass?
Yeah. And then lastly, I have...
And then there's one more after your lastly then.
Well, I'm saying lastly for mine.
Yeah.
I have Our Mimic Showed Itself with the absolutely hilarious comments. I would say, believe it, I'm going 7.
I am going split down center, 5 cash, 5 ass.
Okay, I'm going 7 cash, 3 ass. The story is short, to the point, sweet. There's no like filler shit.
Maybe 5.5 cash and 4.5 ass.
Say that 5 times.
4.5 ass.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, and then the radio.
Probably a 7 again. I do think that their radio waves and stuff like that are sometimes things that we just cannot figure out how to control even without power.
I won't say six cash, 4 ass.
This is a crazy scale.
I know. It's one of our best scales yet. The other one of my other favorite scales, the Shunka Warka one, where we rode that entire car. But this one also is just funnier because we said it 6 different times.
Yes. So, well, what do you guys think? What's your scale of cash
to
versus ass?
Yeah.
Do you believe it should be ass versus cash or cash versus
Which
ass?
is more valuable, ass or cash?
Yeah. It's terrible. But all right. Well, that I think is all we have for today's episode. We appreciate everybody being understanding of last week's issues with our mics and stuff like that. We're really trying to make these episodes better for everybody. So we want to, obviously put out quality.
Patience
work.
is a virtue.
It is a virtue, one of which I have very little of. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for listening. I don't think I have anything else to say. So if you like what you're listening to, go follow, like, comment, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're at. Go check our socials, especially our Instagram, which is used more regularly. And tell your friends, family, babysitter, random person you cross on the street, maybe the mailman. You pop out of the mailbox and tell them what you want them to watch and listen to. With that being said, thank you everyone for listening, and time for a sign off.
Righty.
And remember
To look for
the unknown,
the unsolved,
and the unseen.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys. Get your ass and cash. Let's get it all.
I don't know, guys. Pay up your rent in this economy.
Or give them some ass instead.
Ooh, rude.